Hi, my name's Lee, and I'm about to do a session live with somebody. We are going to explore the topic of focus and how to have more of that in a work setting. We have already had a conversation together about what is expected, what their ideal outcome would be, which would be to focus more and to pay more attention to details. And we have worked together in the past, so we are both expecting that there will be positive results from this, but we have never done this particular thing before. So I'm going to do a quick induction, and we're going to get right into the file. So thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate it, and let's begin. Hello. I know that you've heard the sound of my voice before. I know that you have gone deeply into trance for me before many times, and I suspect that this time will be no different. That as you find yourself listening to the sound of my voice, that you can feel already how nice it is to let yourself sink into a trance that allows the sound of my voice and the words that I say to impact you deeply and profoundly in the most positive and powerful ways for you, so that your unconscious mind, as it pays attention to the things that I say, responds in the direction that you want it to go in. You'd like to find yourself being able to more easily pay attention to details, more easily be able to focus on the tasks in front of you, more easily make sure that everything that you are doing is spot on and down to the nitty-grittiest little detail, that you realize that you've paid attention to all of those things, and that everything about the way you find yourself responding to these things is just right. That your unconscious mind knows that you are going to find yourself making some new changes, allowing you to get to work quickly, allowing the mind that used to wander to have a really effortless and easy ability to focus on what you're doing, the tasks in front of you, what you are supposed to produce as an outcome, so that your brain can put all those things together. So as you find yourself going more and more powerfully and deeply into trance, I'd like you to find yourself imagining a day when you have a task that has been handed to you, that has been given to you, and you know what that is. And you understand that you're going to be required to do a lot of little things in order to turn this particular piece of work in as well as you would like to, with the kind of quality that you would like associated with your name and your person. So I'd like your unconscious mind to think about how good it begins to feel for you to realize that the moment you are aware that you have a job to do within the work hours that you have been assigned, for your unconscious mind to assign a part that begins to be more and more eager to get that done. And as that part begins to get more and more eager to start your work and to get it done, I'd like that part to begin to remember that there are a lot of parts of you inside, and you have the ability to recruit other parts of you for assistance in whichever way you need. We're going to talk to a few of them today, or at least I'm going to talk to a few of them today, and I'm going to ask you when those parts, whichever parts we end up talking to, agree to help us. I'm just going to ask you if you would take one of your hands, rise it up and touch your chin, and then let your hand just drop back down. Every time you find yourself doing that, thank you very much, you can notice that that too takes you more firmly and fully into a state of trance where your unconscious mind is busy making changes, happily adjusting things, and eager to make sure that this change really works for you in the way that it's intended to. So when you find yourself thinking about that day, you've been assigned some work, your brain knows that it is now going to become more and more eager to take a task on. Your brain realizes that there were things that you used to find yourself focusing on. Maybe that was some other window on your computer. Maybe that was something on your phone. Maybe it was a sound somewhere. Maybe it was something in your peripheral vision. Maybe it was an animal. Maybe it was a spouse or a pet or a friend. Your unconscious mind can know that within those time frames of the work hours, that your goal in your job is to really do the best job you can in the shortest amount of time possible. You don't have to worry about doing the shortest amount of time possible for the job itself necessarily, although I'm sure there are deadlines, but you want to be able to make sure that your time is being well spent. Your time isn't being wasted, your time isn't being frittered away. You don't have to find yourself distracted by something else and then spend some time finding out where you used to be to come back and start the job again. So I'd like your unconscious mind to think about how good it's going to feel for you to understand that when you focus on the task in front of you, when you find yourself eager to start it, eager to get it done, that it begins to put this interesting little bubble around you where your concentration, where your focus, where your attention all begins to be on that task and what you need to do to complete it well, to complete it quickly. So it's those parts of you, the parts I've mentioned, and any parts that think that they might possibly be able to help, think about doing this. I'd like your brain to think about how good it would feel for you to realize that you've been sitting at your desk, you've been looking at the resources that you need, you've been taking notes as required, you've been writing things down that are going to be important, whether right now or a little bit later on, because you can tell you're good at your job, you do these things on a normal, ongoing basis. Let your brain discover that when you start to get these types of details going, this type of information begins to flow into your brain, that all those parts of you begin to get really excited and you can find yourself beginning to be in a really nice state of flow. I'm sure that you've been in a state of flow before. It's when everything sort of seems to happen effortlessly and easily all around you. All the various moving parts of a thing begin to simply mesh together as though everything is run with gears. All the gears are happily chugging along, turning smoothly and effortlessly, and everything is doing their part. So I'm going to ask your unconscious mind and all the parts so far that have agreed to be interested and intrigued and happy to get this work done, to think about how good it feels to focus on those things. The idea that all of you can work together so very easily and smoothly, and that as you work together so very easily and smoothly, everything about that just begins to feel incredibly right. Things that might have distracted you in the past become things that you can find yourself going, I need a minute. You can find yourself realizing that no, that thing is in fact something that you don't need to pay attention to. You can find yourself realizing that you have shut a door for a specific reason. And you can also notice that perhaps you do something like a little bit of a trick, like I'm going to spend a half an hour on this thing or an hour on this thing. I'm going to set an alarm and then I'm going to take a 5-minute break, maybe 10 minutes. You know what you might have to do and what you might need. And then you're going to discover that in those 5 or 10 minutes, however long you take, it's as though your unconscious mind simply shut a door on a scene. You go into this other space, you do whatever things you need to do there. When you come back in, it's though everything else fades away again, and the things in that room pick up exactly where they were when you left off. So, are the parts of you that have been interested in making sure that you're going to find yourself interested in doing this job correctly and quickly, do those think that they can handle that? Can they make that happen, that you can find yourself working, taking a break as needed or wanted, and then coming right back to that space? Sitting down at your computer could be the trigger for it, sitting down at your desk could be the trigger for it, and then when you find yourself sitting back down, it's as though everything that happened in that break is absolutely gone, and you find yourself right back at the space where you were, when that alarm went off. Is that something that your brain can do? Excellent. Thank you so very much. Now, we want to make sure that in addition to those parts that are eager and happy to help, that any parts of you that perhaps are not as eager to help or have been doing something else, we've all gotten a little distracted over the last few years. I believe our attention spans have dropped considerably because everyone has been spending time at home with a lot of screen time. So I'd like those parts of you that might be interested in doing that sort of thing over and over again, I'd like those parts of you to remember that there was a time when you found yourself a little bit more able to pay attention to the stuff around you, and instead of getting distracted every few seconds or minutes by dings or chirps or buzzes or whatever types of notification systems you might have set up, that instead of finding your focus adjusted elsewhere, that any one of those things that happens simply becomes a sign for those parts of you that used to pay attention to those to simply turn that alert signal off in your brain, and for you to refocus on whatever it is you're doing. This might be a thing that takes a little while, so I'm going to ask every single part that is available to help those parts that were focused on something else, that were getting distracted, where your eyes might have gotten glazed over, where your mind was wandering, to go, oh, wait, nope. Any of those things that in the past might have caused you to turn away from that work, to allow you to simply look down, look at your computer, however it's going, and realize that you're going to get right back to it like that. Let your unconscious mind think about how good it feels for you to be in that position where when you're here, when you're doing these things, work comes first. When you're at work, when it's time to do it, work comes first. And when work comes first, the parts of you that need to pay attention are paying attention so that you can ensure that all the details, all the little minutiae, all the particulars, every little specific, you find yourself honing in on. You find yourself finding and appreciating. You find yourself smiling with glee when you add some new detail that is important for that task you have ahead of you, that you can get that done, that you can write that down, that you can incorporate that into whatever it is that you're doing. So let your unconscious mind think about how good it feels to have the parts that are eager become a little bit more eager, and a little bit to have them enjoy what is going on a little bit more and more every single time. Almost as though you're participating in a scavenger hunt and this is a thing that you find yourself really fascinated and intrigued by, and you want to win it. In whichever way that best pops into your brain as a thing you can do, as a thing you want to do, let your brain focus on the idea that you're going to be winning in this particular arena. Every single time you focus on a new task in front of you, your unconscious mind gets to work quickly. Your mind doesn't wander. Every single part of you that can participate begins to allow you to concentrate on the things that are in front of you, to understand deeply what it is that you are required to do, and just sets out to ensure that it happens in the best possible way for you. The parts of you that used to find themselves wandering now also begin to turn that keen ability to focus on something else, to focus on the thing that you're paying attention to. You find that your eyes are open, you might be sitting up straight. If you yawn, you realize you're just taking a little bit more oxygen to make your task happen more effectively and efficiently. And every single part of you can begin to feel better and better the more you notice that you are on target, doing the thing that you're supposed to, getting all of this done, and setting appropriate breaks as needed so that when you have other stuff you have to do, you can do that all in the time that you've allotted so that you can get back to this work easily and effortlessly without having to worry about additional concerns, additional things that break your concentration, because it just doesn't happen when you have an allotted time schedule for that, and you find that every single part of you now begins to be more and more interested and excited in making sure that you are getting your work done, that you are focusing on it, that you are paying attention to that, noticing that the little details begin to draw you in a little bit more powerfully than they had before, and you find that you can get the work done a little bit more quickly and easily without any of those distractions, as though you're in your own cozy little bubble where you have everything you need, nothing you don't, and the tasks that you're working on just seem to flow. You, in that position of getting these things done, everything inside you just feels so right, just feels so good, and all these things just begin to happen more and more quickly. That's right. And you can find yourself appreciating how good that is to let that happen, because you know that when you finish your task quicker than you expected, you can go back over it. People are not always really great at proofing their own work, and that's okay. And this might take a time or two until you really are up to speed on all of these little things. But you know that you can proof your own work enough so that you can see, oh, I've done these things and this looks pretty good, and I'm going to make sure that I give it a quick check before I turn this in. So let your unconscious mind hold on to how very good doing these things well, doing these things with the focus that you need, focusing on letting work come first when you're at work, letting yourself take assigned breaks that you've assigned, no one else has, you've assigned them, and you've gotten those things that you needed to do that might have otherwise been a distraction for you, letting those things get done outside of that bubble. And then when you come back in the bubble, every single part of you is eager, excited, and happy to get back to that task and to finish it. So as all the parts of you that need to be involved in this say yes, as all the parts involved say, we can do this, we're going to do this, we've already figured out ways in our head that we can enable these particular tasks to get done, so that we've enabled this so that we feel better and better about the jobs that we have ahead of us. We understand that we are clever, we're smart, we can do a good job at this, and we're going to just sparkle and polish this up so that we can really enjoy this particular thing instead of sort of bemoaning that we have to do it. Let those parts of you say yes enthusiastically by you raising your hand and touching your chin and just saying, yes, we're going to do this way from now on. And hold on to that, hold on how good that feels. You can let that drop just like that. Thank you very much. So on the count of 10, find yourself coming up feeling more accomplished, feeling more confident in all of those things that I've said, feeling how very good it is for your unconscious mind to be happy to be in that space where you can do those things, because you have a lot of faith in yourself and it's just been misplaced for a little while. So don't worry about that. Your brain is happy and eager to get you on track. It's already agreed to do it. Enjoy how nice that feels. Wide awake on 10, and let every single part of you reconfirm their commitment to making these things happen, and for you to feel better and better every single time you turn in something that you know is top-notch stellar work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Wide awake.